Or back for another one. Hello. Yeah, I know it might maybe it won't piss a lot of people off, but it's something that needs to be said. I know it will probably get a lot of hate, or maybe it won't. Maybe I know people, we can dress however we want. We should not be policing how other people dress. Well, let me first start off by saying who this video is not for. If you're a person who has no interest in changing your wardrobe, if you believe that your wardrobe is good enough, if you continue to want to keep looking like you don't care and you're so above it all, keep on doing you. That is totally fine. However, I am making this video for the girls or for the women that are on the fence. You know there's something entirely not right about your wardrobe and you want to update it. You want to fix it. You want to convince yourself that dressing the way you dress now needs a serious overhaul and update. And maybe you just need a little guidance, a little push in the right direction. Maybe you don't have anybody that is in your corner trying to level themselves up, or so I'm making this video for the woman who knows which direction to go in. Maybe you just need a little convincing. So why would you stop dressing like a teen? What I read one time is that teenagers are toddler adults. They are figuring themselves out. They usually dress based upon, they're in an awkward stage in their life when they're trying to figure out who they are. And the pressure coming from other teenagers is very real. We've all been teenagers once. We all know that pressure to fit in. We all know how bad it could hurt when another one of your peers say, you don't look good, or you look ugly, or you dress like a dirk, or you dress like a nerd, or what is that, or you look dirty. Any one of those insults could have a very, very powerful impact on our psyche. It just plain hurts your feelings when you hear that from your peers. So usually what happens is, you either dress really trendy or you dress like super countercultural, right? You very polarized when you're a teenager. You're either trying to put off that you don't care or that you really care and you're part of the in crowd. And nowadays I see a lot of teenagers and a lot of adults too, but I think adults are mimicking teenagers because of the fear of being called old, which I'll get into that later in the video. But a lot of teens, they have their hoodies, they have their sweatpants, crop tops. I don't know if crop tops are still in anymore, but we all can get an idea about how teens dress. Um, And usually teenagers and young adults, I'm speaking about the age demographic from 25 and under, usually they are involved in, at least now, and involved in counterculture. Usually. It's the easiest demographic to get involved with the counterculture. For example, like grunge in the 90s. Once they brought grunge to the mainstream, it's easier to get the youth to follow this, only because a lot of times you want to rebel against your parents, you want to rebel against your upbringing, and you want to have a sense of individualism and making your mark in the world. However, counterculture has been used against us. There has been a shift into wanting to please younger generations because of this fear of seeming uncool and out of touch, and there's been such an emphasis on everyone wanting to be cool and everyone wanting to be accepted. No one wants to be seen as the old man or the old woman trying to correct behaviors. No one wants to be the leader and say, hey, this isn't right, or hey, that's not right, or hey, this is what you should do. No one wants to be seen like that anymore because it's deemed uncool. You'll get that from the word Karen, the slur Karen. You'll hear a lot of white women be called Karens. And sometimes I agree, are there situations where they're being overly corrective and ridiculous? Yes, I've seen some of those. But overall, the real underlying, the more nefarious reason for the word Karen becoming a slur is because society is trying to rid you of calling out bad behavior. So the parental figure or the figures are supposed to say, no, don't do that. now it's becoming uncool. Now you're seen as a Karen. Now you're seen as racist if you see behaviors in another race that is just that is not conducive to a thriving society. I'll say that much. Another example would be, I believe it was Clive Davis that would go around and would try to get DJs to play disco, or would try to have DJs play more Black artists. Now, I agree that Black artists should be heard. On the surface, what seems like we should get people to listen to Black music was actually more of an attack on the culture that we saw. Going back to rock and roll, getting people to listen to rock and roll, because remember when rock and roll was first birthed, it was a rebellious kind of music. People will call it demonic. Having people, even putting the guitar in your crotch was seen as overtly sexual and disgusting and demonic or satanic. And how people were not going for that in the 50s. The ruling class will do things like that because they want to move everything in a certain way. They want to degrade the society around them. They want your morals. They want your morals to be questioned. They want to get rid of what is deemed good, so they could come in and usher in more degenerative behaviors, aka pro-drift. We used to dress a little bit more put together. A woman in a nice dress and a nice little fashionable pair of heels, or a man in a suit and tie or a button down. I'm not saying we should go back to that, but I'm saying, did that look better than just wearing a hoodie and sweatpants all the time? In my opinion, yes. And because men and women were dressing like that, you can command a certain amount of respect and authority from the people around you. And now we won't command that type of respect because everybody looks so slouchy. No one cares. And that's being reflected every day. When you walk outside every day, it's being reflected back to us just how little we care for each other and how little we care for ourselves. And along with the many and various ways we have been worn down psychologically, physically and psychologically, it's starting to reflect, it's starting to show just exactly how we feel about each other. We want comfort because the world outside is getting increasingly more chaotic and irrational. You want more comfort. You want ease. You want one less decision to figure out during your day. So believe me when I say I understand. However, we have been duped into thinking that teenagers or the demographic under 25 are the ones that know better. They're the ones having the most fun. They are the ones that are the most radical and have the most innovative ideas. They're the ones that know better than the ones with the wisdom. And it's time to reclaim our rightful place as the ones with wisdom. We're going to start with how we dress. How you dress is how you feel. And if you want to start changing how you feel about yourself, if you want to bring out more of what is truly there, more of who you really are, start with the very simple task of paying attention to what you're wearing when you walk outside your door. Make every step from here on out intentional. And it's corny, but dress how you want to be addressed. Again, I'm not making this video to tell anyone that they should not what to do with their lives. I'm making this video for the woman that says, I know I want to go in this direction. Where do I start? And why do I start here? For first, we're going to start out with the mental. You have to start telling yourself every day that teenagers or youngsters do not get to dictate how you feel about yourself any longer. Overt and subconscious need to fit in and to always be seen as young and cool and aloof. We're done with that. We care and we know we care. And we're going to show everybody that not only we care about ourselves, but I care about my future. I care about if you have children or nieces or nephews, even your friends. I care about the community that they grow up in because I want to stay safe. I want to stay protected. I want to go outside and be proud of where I am. Start with correcting the mind first, and then the outfits will follow. And too much athleisure can be a bad thing. Even if you start, let's say you were, a leggings and a sports bra kind of girl. You could start by wearing a matching set. But my argument would be is if you wear too much athleisure, which I've seen a lot of women with the cap, because I've worn this too because I thought it was cute. With the cap, the vest, and the leggings. I actually really like that outfit. However, wearing it too often, I've seen it just start making everyone look like football coaches or the gym teacher. It looks like you're a little hardened on the outside. And as women, I know we want to look more sensual, more sweet. We want to look more feminine in nature most of the time. We want to look like how what's deep inside of us. You know, you want to look more girly. You want to look more approachable. You don't want everyone thinking that you only have one thing on your mind, and that's work and all these productivity tasks. Even if it may be true, you might be at the space where you want to communicate something different. So wearing brighter colors, even if you have to start at the matching set, think a little bit further into the future and then start to think about moving away from the workout gear. And above all else, start where you are. If you have to go to thrift stores, if you have to keep on with Shein, H&M, it's not so trendy to say wear Shein or whatever, but a lot of us are having a hard time affording higher quality 100% cotton. Even Walmart has started. I've seen some 100% cotton pieces in Walmart. Imagine put a little work in if you want like a higher quality piece of clothing, but if you cannot do that, it is okay to start where you are. There's no shame in your game to go into the thrift store, to keep buying the fast fashion until one day maybe you get a nice job promotion or someone gifts you with a shopping spree to where you can afford exactly what you want. But until then, make those little tiny efforts with what you have. And let's start watching our world, our inner world change, and eventually the outer world will change as well. I'm a big firm believer in what's going on in here is definitely reflected out there. I'm a knower, and know what's in here is reflected outward. So I'm gonna wrap things up now. If you liked the video, please give it a like. I'd appreciate that. If you'd like to stay a little while longer, see what other videos I got in store, please subscribe. Stay well, and I will see you in the next video.